that made me shiver and run chills down my spine. I had been living my entire life in fear. I had a job that I hated. I was in a relationship with a girl that I didn't even like. And as I thought back upon myself and my life, I reflected to try to think what went wrong in my life. The first thing that came to my mind was a flashback of me in my martial arts tournaments when I was young. My parents had put us in martial arts because they were afraid that we would be bullied. And they wanted to teach us to be strong in life and to always win. There was no room for mediocrity in my home. Everything that we did, we had to be the best at. And my parents ensured to make that happen by making us train for hours and hours on end to ensure that we would always win. And we did. But it did come at a price. I remember days when I would train for 3 hours. And I would train and train. And there were days where my parents would not let me eat until they thought that I had trained enough to be deemed worthy to eat. I remember in one tournament when I was at, when my parents had thrown me in, and every tournament I had extreme anxieties. I felt like a caged animal thrown into a dogfight and forced to fight his way out. And I remember there was one time where I was in a sport jiu-jitsu tournament. It's an MMA tournament for kids. And I was shaking when I looked at my opponent. And when the bell rang, I went in there and I kicked him so hard in the head that I blackened my shin. And he fell on the ground crying. And I jumped on top of him and I had my hand cocked back like this. And I stared back at my dad to see what he would say. And my dad started clapping and he said, yeah, go for it. So I beat the piss out of that kid and I felt bad for it. But I would have felt worse letting down my family, letting down my dad. And those punches from those kids hurt. But they would not hurt as much as the disapproval from my family. And now thinking back, I took that into adulthood because I always felt, as an adult, that I had to prove myself worthy. That I had to prove to do something, like I had to be somebody before I could give myself credit for feeling good. And now looking back on that, I think of how wrong and how silly that really is. Because I realized that by talking to different people and studying development and behavior, that everybody has fears and everybody feels unworthy at certain things. We all have our own faults. But that doesn't define us. We are not our accomplishments. We are not our job. We are not the people that we hang out with. The fact is that who you are is, you already are enough. And I think that if we can admit that to ourselves, that we have our own fears and we have our own faults, but we should not let that determine whether we are worthy or not. That we are already worthy, and if you want to go out and do something, that you should do it because from the pure intention, from a place of love, from a place that you're doing this to push your limits and you're doing it to better yourself. And not to just do things out of fear and living a life out of lack and scarcity, because that's no way to live. And I wish I realized this much earlier, because I had taken this right into my adult life and even into my life of dating. I felt like as a kid I was very awkward and I was shy and I couldn't speak to people. So I felt like I had to go prove myself. I had to prove myself worthy. And when I first started, man, I was awkward. Man, you girls are mean sometimes. I remember going up and to the first girl and I was all my confidence and do you want to dance? She's like, excuse me, Can you see that I'm talking to my friend here? Can you see that we're having a conversation? So why don't you just go away, okay? Loser. Okay. And so I walked back to my friend, and my friend was very encouraging. And he's like, how did it go? How did it go? I'm like, didn't work out. It's okay, man. Just do it again. Do it again, you'll get good. And so I did, and it's true. After lots of practice and lots of rejections, I got better. I got much better. And now I can say I have more stories. I have enough stories for 2 lifetimes, I could say. Many that is just not appropriate to share with you guys today. The fact remains the same. But something happened from being in that environment for too long that it kind of hardened me, and it felt like I had to shield myself. I had to protect myself because I felt if I opened up, then I would be hurt. But in a sense, that has robbed me from a lot of good things. And I think the point I'm trying to make is all of us have our own shields that we put up amongst ourselves to try to shield who we really are. And I think that what I've discovered is there's power in vulnerability and expressing your emotions and showing who you really are. And being your true self and telling people what your dreams are and what your aspirations are and what you really want in life. And what are your fears and what's holding you back. Because I've realized that when you talk to people and you share your story, you share your dream, that people are willing to help you. So that is my challenge to you guys. Is to be yourself and to just show who you really are and not hide behind something. So what if my whole life had been wrong? Well, the fact of the matter is that I'm still breathing today shows me that it's not too late to change it. And what better time than now? Thank you.